It is now recording, and we're going to explore consciousness to the best of our abilities within an hour. So
That's
I
if we are still conscious at the end of the hour.
Or if we're still competent at the end of the hour.
Hey, it's really good to laugh though. Love it. So I kind of said, Liz, you've just missed the complete madness. So I kind of cheekily put round, because I knew I'd been on holiday and I knew I wouldn't have had a huge amount of time to prepare for tonight. I kind of said, hey, bring a definition or a meme or a picture or whatever. And then I felt a bit guilty for that. So I logged on about 7:15 and just pulled some of the memes I had copied, really, some diagrams I'd copied. So if nobody's got anything, I have got about 5 or 6 just diagrams to hopefully generate some discussion. And it's not full coverage by any stretch. They're just random ones that I happen to have easily available. But I thought if we're stuck for a conversation starter, they might be useful. But if one of you's got something that you want to go, hey, yeah, I came prepared, and I think it'd be good to discuss this definition, or there's so much coming out at the moment linking consciousness and quantum consciousness and brain structure, and they're claiming that they now know where it's kind of comes from the brain. There's loads of linked with breathing, and if you breathe and do your pelvic floor muscles at the same time, you push your cerebral spinal fluid up, and you then ignite the pineal gland, and apparently that helps you get to consciousness. So there's all sorts of places we could go with this, and I am mildly prepared, but also very happy to ditch my little slides. So where do you want to start? Does somebody just want to say, like, start off? What the heck is consciousness? What's it all about? What's our understanding of it, or our lack of understanding of it?
I'm happy to share something if you want me to.
Yeah, jump in.
I mean, it could be a bit heavy, but I think it will open up conversations. So I wanted to share, I've just Googled it, so it's not fully shared. It's just something I know about. And I thought, oh, I wonder what Mr. Google says about this. So I wanted to share something about Buddhist philosophy, talking about 9 levels of consciousness. And this will definitely open up conversation. It describes the totality of a person's experience of life and their potentials for spiritual development. So this doesn't mean it's just for Buddhists, it's any spiritual life. And it breaks down consciousness into these areas: sight consciousness, hearing consciousness, like the senses, smell consciousness, taste consciousness, and touch consciousness, like those 5 sense consciousnesses, if that's the right word. And then they talk about other things like mind, mano, alaya, but they talk about the 9 consciousnesses are not separate entities, but rather they're interconnected as aspects of a dynamic, holistic mind. In Buddhism, the mind means the whole body, not the brain in the head. By understanding and working with these consciousnesses, individuals can transform their lives and move towards, obviously Buddhism would talk about enlightenment. So we're talking wisdom here. It depends what we think about enlightenment and wisdom. But this is saying let's not count them as 9 maybe, but when all of those different ways of being conscious in the world are interconnected, we become wiser. So we sort of know that to be true, but there you go.
It's a great way to start off the conversation, though. People's responses: 9 consciousnesses. It's
well, 9 known at the moment.
Well, yep. Yeah.
So maybe what I'm going to say is the unknown, the one that's still unknown, or the known unknown. So as a man, the only man on the call, men, I think, are less conscious than women are.
Oh, that's a big statement to make.
As a man as well. We were talking about this last night, a group of ladies. Yeah. With kindness.
Very interesting, though, because is that all men or is that some men?
There are exceptions to every group and every rule.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about in general terms.
Interesting.
So, and a lot of this comes out is dealt with in the classic men are from Mars and women are from Venus. But
He's frozen.
actually, my wife has demonstrated to me how unconscious I am with stuff that's around. So, for example, if I'm looking for something, or I've said it's in the fridge, and I look at it and I just look straight ahead, like we were talking about it today, and if I can't, if my eye, my line of sight doesn't spot it, means it's not there. Sometimes she would leave stuff in our old home at the foot of the steps, so I could carry it up when I went. But how many times has she pointed out to me that I've just walked past it and gone up the stairs?
So
that's the
I'm
kind of
laughing because I have this conversation with Phil so
Yeah.
regularly. Like he'll say, "Where is something?" And I'll say, "It's in that cupboard on the left-hand side, second or whatever." And he'll go and look, and then he'll go, "No, it's not." I'm like going, if I get up and come and look, I'm gonna put my finger straight on it, exactly where I've told you. No, I've looked, and there you go. And things like not seeing something, absolutely. So my question as a woman is, do you really not see it? Like, that's a challenging question. I apologize. But like when you go up the stairs and there's something at the bottom of the stairs to take up, do you seriously not see it? Or do you think you see it, but you kind of don't see the relevance of it?
No. I seriously don't see it. So it's not that I've ignored it. No. No. And then after I've gone up, didn't you see that thing down there? No, I didn't. And then, good Lord, it's there. So if I'd looked for it, I would have seen it.
Interesting.
So the visual consciousness wasn't functioning in that instance. What if she had told you that it was there?
Then perhaps I would be looking for it then,
Uh-huh.
right? Yeah. But the understanding was anything at the foot of the stairs, if it's just placed there, obviously has to go up. And next person going up can take it up. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure
that's my take on it.
I'm not sure that's a gender thing because I do that as well. So I think it's true if we're visual, if we're auditory, an instruction. If somebody did that to me, I would go, "Oh yeah, must remember." So I think there's something about forgetting here, and we might want to talk about forgetting and consciousnessing, but I think there's a forgetting element there sometimes. But I'm only just being playful with this because I don't know.
Yeah, I also think it's really, what's going through my mind is, in any room, any environment you're in, out in nature, whatever, it makes me really curious what we're not seeing that is right in front of our eyes.
In one
And
word,
what impact
lots.
that has then.
Lots. Yeah.
Yeah. So in one way, it feels like a relatively low level of consciousness, like whether you see something or not, but actually the impact's enormous. And are we just not consciously seeing it? Are we filtering, anyone with NLP background, is it just something we've seen but filtered out because it wasn't important? Or actually, did we not see it?
Or did we see it and just not have any consciousness of what to do with it? Like there it is sitting on the bottom of the stairs. Do I step over it? Do I pick it up? What do I do?
So again, my mind's jumping, apologies. My son's just come back from LA, which is his first ever trip away on his own. And he decided he would walk up to the Hollywood sign. And he walked up and saw what he thought was a stick until it moved and rattled.
Oh dear.
So like he saw something but thought it was something else. But then because it became a rattlesnake, he was then very conscious of the fact that that was a danger. And, luckily it ran into a bush and hasn't got legs, slithered into a bush out of his way. Now, for us, snakes are not a major part of our life, like in terms of we wouldn't expect to see them out walking. So I guess you're not filtering for them necessarily. Okay, let's take this into a coaching mode. How might this be relevant? And we're only at site at the moment, like one of the 9. How might that be relevant in coaching, and how could we work with it or get curious of it or guide people to be more aware of things? Or would we not? Is it not our place as coaches to do that?
So my feeling as a psychotherapist and a coach is it has a major part to play in bringing the unseen into seen. Not because I want it, but if the client's always leading, but dare I quote Freud here, that's there's those different levels of consciousness, and so it's only when we can see what we don't want to see or can't see that I feel we can. I mean, to me, it's essential. Sorry, long-winded. I think it's essential to see the unseen.
No. And there's kind of a presupposition and an assumption within that if we draw someone's attention to it, it is something that is defined and objective anyway.
Yeah.
Isn't it a key in exercises such as perceptual positions and being conscious of the other person's subjective experience of the event that clears any blocks from the client in terms of seeing things from a different perspective?
Interesting, eh? And how do we know what we are seeing or think they could be seeing is actually present?
Well, if we even just think of the MBIT process, that is the reason we're all on this call. If we think about present state, desired state, and we're inquiring about the block, we're presumably making notes about the block, and to the client, those blocks might be partway unseen or fully unseen, but we've heard them, and then we do work with that block for the major part of the process. We inquire at the head, heart, and gut level about that potentially unseen aspect. Is that not right? Is that not how it is?
Yeah, and often those blocks are somatic. So there's not a conscious language-based description of them often, initially.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I loved what Elizabeth said about the 9 levels of consciousness. And it is also going into the auditory, visionary. So we're now talking about what you're aware of, what you see, what you don't see. And I didn't have much time to prepare. So I thought, a quote about consciousness, where will I look for? What will I look for? So I like Sadhguru. So I looked for Sadhguru and consciousness, and there was mentioned, and like we had to just to talk about, did you see something on the stairs? And he's also talking about memory. So, and he's saying intelligence or your consciousness is beyond the memory, because memory is also putting up boundaries. But what I found interesting, he said, was being conscious just means that you are in touch with the root of who you are. So then it comes back again. For me, what Elizabeth was saying, what Liz is saying with the head, heart, gut, to be aligned, to be rooted in yourself.
So it comes back to identity then, doesn't it?
Yes, also.
And also raises questions about, is consciousness only in us?
Oh.
How do you mean? There's conscious, when you see it from that point of view, there would be consciousness in everything. Plant, nature has also consciousness.
Yeah.
At a certain
So then the rooted in us changes, because actually it's not necessarily just about rooted in us. that's in a way our consciousness, but it's not consciousness per se, because we're part of a wider system that's also conscious, if you believe that the wider system's conscious.
But that's straying in the space of energy then.
Yeah, and quantum and spiritual.
Yeah, one thing I picked up from the text from Gul, he mentions you do not have to raise your consciousness, you have to raise yourself to find access to it and experience it. Consciousness is there all the time. So yeah, then it would be a broader, wider thing, or yeah, whatever you call it.
Could you read that again, Angela? You don't have to find it, raise
yeah,
yourself.
you do not. He was saying you do not have to raise your consciousness. You have to raise yourself to find access to it and experience it. Consciousness is there all the time.
But
Yeah.
it's outside.
When I was reflecting and I thought about it, so I think just an addition to that would be being in the now, in the present, just being now. And we are constantly in the eternal now, right?
Yeah, I agree with what a lot of you said. I actually printed off how to be more conscious in everyday life. And what that brings in is meditation, mindfulness. How can nature help me enhance my consciousness? Meditating in nature, focus meditation. Then it goes on to gratitude, watching people, practicing gratitude meditation. Then, as Liz said, it's about activating your senses, journaling, activating your senses to enhance my consciousness. Do nothing. How to do nothing was another one. Take care of your health and practice conscious thinking. They were the headlines, and I suppose they're all to me saying slow down, and it's like the reticular activating system, isn't it? What you focus on, you become more conscious of what you will actually bring to your life. And it does involve mindfulness, slowing down, being aware. Because consciousness goes with awareness, enhancing and expanding your awareness of yourself and others, maybe.
And the word that came to mind as you were talking, Miriam, for me was intention. It's like you're making an intentional choice in that moment to slow down or be mindful, or, you know, whether it's something that you're holding mindfully about or looking at mindfully or listening mindfully, it's a conscious choice.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about language here and the interchange. So as Angela was talking, I was thinking, is it really consciousness at all, or is it wisdom? Especially if we have to raise ourselves to it, it wouldn't then have a gender aspect. Because I've met many wise men in spiritual practices, and I've met very unwise women in spiritual practices. But some men might, I'm not saying this is true, Avalon, but from my conversation last night with the ladies, there seems to be a bit of a pattern sometimes on a gender basis, but I could be wrong here, to choose to be a bit unconscious about things. You know, there's that intentional bit. Because if you pick up the stuff from the stairs, you've got to know where you've got to put it. And you've got to get a whole other, there's all this other stuff that can go on, as an odd example. But I think if we have to raise ourselves to it, or do we just need to tune into our wisdom and connect with it in the ways that Miriam said?
Or both and then I go, forgive me, because the way I process things is often to do the mismatch, what and but. Something like awe, where I'm not consciously looking for awe, but I come across, I think of me going up a mountain skiing in Austria, for example, and the vista at the top, you suddenly almost snap into that moment of awe where you're way more in the present moment and in the beauty or magnificence or hugeness of whatever it is you're caught by. It's not been a conscious choice. It just kind of happens. So I wonder if there's a both and. that sometimes do we just suddenly find ourselves in a greater level of consciousness when we weren't necessarily looking for it.
For me, I think
And then
that
what kind of state are you then? Are you then aligned?
Great question. What do you think? When you felt awe, when you've had that moment of awe, whether it's, you know, whatever's caused it, are you more aligned?
Or rooted or grounded?
Well, I think it's an expansive position. You've expanded once you bring in awe.
I've reflecting on moments of awe. There's not a lot of head stuff going on there. There's not a lot of thinky brainy stuff. There's a lot of feeling, kind of grounding happening.
So then are we aligned? Because I agree with Liz. As I was feeling it, I'm like, oh, am I aligned? Not sure. Certainly expansive, certainly much more aware of stuff outside of me. So I'm aligned with that. But am I aligned internally? Not sure. Consciously, especially if you then go to, you know, pelvic and ANS and stuff.
But if you access consciousness through things like meditation and stuff, then can you, like, you kind of have to put the thinky brain away a little bit to get there in the first place.
Unless you're head dominant and you use your head to get there. So you might use the head to get into it, make the choice, get yourself comfortable, whatever it is. And then having got that far, you let the head go.
Or do you let the head go? Can you, like, if you're a head dominant person, can you then access that consciousness or that awe just from your head? Or with your head and all the other brains aligned as well?
I think if you're accessing it just from your head, it won't be aligned. Well, it can't be aligned, can it? From our model anyway.
So if you're on a laptop and whatever, have a look at the chat. There's some lovely stuff going on in the chat that I had kind of missed initially. Dima, thank you. And sorry, I had missed it. I wonder about altered states of consciousness through breathwork, psychedelics. Great point. Psychedelics is becoming massive at the moment. And there we go, where the imaginal is quite vivid and real, although it's only the person's experience, but still opens a door to deeper consciousness. What happens next with that door being open? Great question, because there's some great stuff coming up out of psychedelics, but there are also some bad trips some people have. Certainly I wouldn't go and do psychedelics without having some expert supervision in hand to kind of guide you through. That would be my personal take on that. The action of skiing, we're back to skiing. The action of skiing and moving closer towards it, there's been a moving towards, but are we meant to access some knowing when it's meant to happen as part of the collective? Oh my word, we've gone deep. Okay, I don't know. And that's a great question actually, because if you look at community consciousness, we've just been talking about individual making a choice, or through or so. When you're in a group and you get a group consciousness happening, which does happen, how's that happening?
So at a concert, that's a group.
Yep.
Yeah.
And music has got some pretty clear research. It's one of the few modalities that connects all of the brain network theory together and brings it together. Certainly in a lot of the neuroscience, Mark Waldman's stuff, he's really hot on brain network theories and the use of music and sound to do that. Jim Donovan, another one, his whole kind of work is based on the use of music to do that. But Jim Donovan less so, but Mark Waldman very much, he's thinking head up. So he's talking about bringing the head-brain networks together, not the body. Jim Donovan's a bit more somatic and embodied.
Suzanne, is it possible, I'm thinking of the word resonance, and maybe it taps into Avalon, what you said, energy. If we're talking about collective consciousness, what always surprised me in the workplace, especially when things become toxic, and I suppose even the opposite of that is that people pick up on something. You don't even need to publish a new way of doing business per se. People pick up on something. It's an energy. We can talk about that worldwide without it even being discussed in the media. And maybe we are picking up on those external things, and then how it interacts with your own sense of being and becoming. As I said, in the workplace, it always astounded me how, without managers saying this is the new way of doing business, all of a sudden everyone was doing business the same way. So it's like something contagious or something you tap into.
Which challenges the intention bit again, because that might not be
I think it fits in perfectly with the intention, because often intention is not actually articulated either. So
by the person creating the energy, but the person tuning into the energy might not have intentionally tuned it.
I think that's when we start getting sick in the workplace, that you tap into the intention, but it's not aligned with your own values, sense of how your own identity. I'm just thinking, when I'm direct, I've left that workplace many years ago, very unhealthy, very toxic. When you're being directed to do something in a particular way, but it really does not match with, I'm talking about how I was asked to manage certain people. Even though it wasn't said, it was there, and it was pretty nasty and mean. I still remember getting a phone call from HR, one person who told me to be very careful because I could be next on the hit list because of the way I was managing the person, which wasn't the way the whole culture of the organisation had shifted. And again, in the workplace, it's interesting how cultures shift without, I don't know. It's quite an interesting topic, isn't it?
It is, because then you go, what's cultural consciousness?
Well, yeah, cultural consciousness. Yeah.
And if we're not aligned with ourselves, like being asked to do something that's outside of ourselves, it goes back to what Angel said earlier about being the root of who you are.
Definitely.
Fascinating, eh?
Which is why so many people could be feeling disconnected, especially right now, and it makes the coaching and therapy industry incredibly busy. The demand for in-person therapy now is rocketing. And it's really hard for somebody because they want that actual in-person connection. And it's really hard for people to access it and get that for different reasons, because the cost is almost double, because everyone's moved online and it's convenient and speedy and one client after the other if you work that way. But you've got your transport and the room hire and all that's involved. It's two clients in one. And so you have to manage all of that, not that you have to, you might just want to not do that. But it's in demand anyway to be in person. And I believe that you can convey in that in-person way of being the energetics. They're going to get something more, in my opinion. They're still going to get something amazing online and fantastic online if we are in that workplace. But in person, I miss the more that can be there because you're present, fully present. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that, Elizabeth.
Sorry, go ahead, Navila.
It's interesting you mentioned that. because just a few days ago, someone made a throwaway remark about AI will fix it.
Well, we've got
And I'm
AI
thinking, what?
therapy and AI coaches now.
That's what I'm saying. AI coaching. Yeah, coaching.
Yeah.
AI will fix it. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. I mean, what are they on to? As you rightly say, the energy, AI will never be able to replicate the energy that connects human beings together, right?
And yet it is getting a huge amount of traction where people are now using it as a personal relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're getting some form of energy from it, whether or not it's
because we project we project into the other person.
Yeah.
So they will make the AI therapist who they want them to be in their mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let me show you a couple of the birds that in the light of that conversation, and apologies, it's I've just come back and my screens have stopped the other way, so I hadn't got time to swap them back, so you're getting the screen not in full picture. But I found a few memes that I thought were interesting and I think tie in with some of the stuff we're saying. So what's consciousness and where is it? Consciousness is a subjective experience. We all know what it feels like to be aware of a color, a feeling, a sound, or a thought, but explaining what that awareness is and how it arises from the physical matter of the brain, see, they're talking head brain again, is another story altogether. This mystery is often referred to as the hard problem of consciousness. How can subjective experience emerge from physical processes in the brain? In therapeutic settings, many practitioners, especially in complementary and integrated health professions, tend to use the terms mind and consciousness interchangeably. It's a common belief the mind is housed in the body and can be even accessed or influenced through it, but is it accurate? This view partly stems from dualistic thinking inherited from centuries of philosophical tradition, where body and mind were treated as two separate substances. In complementary therapies, this often manifests as the idea that you can work with the body to influence the mind. While there's value in understanding the interaction between physical touch and perception, modern neurosciences encourages a more nuanced, less dualistic perspective. So I thought this was really interesting because to me, I read that and it's almost challenging the use of the body and somatic and embodied and going, oh yeah, but if we just went back to proper neuroscience again, which they're reading as being head-based, brain, just head-brain based, then we'd have more understanding. Any thoughts, comments? It's a lot of what we've been saying, right?
Can't hear that.
Not sure whether it was just background noise, not sure. No thoughts on that one. I'm conscious.
Yeah, it's a dualism stands out for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I was thinking about when people have brain damage and then they go off for physical therapy. They can't walk and they go off to practice the act of walking again over time. And I'm not an expert in this, for the brain to then know how to do it again. So is it dualistic in characteristics? I would question that. And also it's coming from a position where research-wise it's going to feed the funds of neuroscience anyway, if you think about what we're reading there. But it's I question quite a lot in there. Sorry.
No, I'm with you. And that's why I thought it was good to put it up, because this is current, right? And this is neuroscience, head up, really trying to push that they're the ones who really know what consciousness is.
And that it's all from one place.
Yeah, and it seemed to be, in my mind, going backwards and wiping out all the stuff we've learned along the way around the body. And it doesn't even begin to mention outside of me consciousness of, community, whatever. So I just thought it was interesting to be aware of that as we are exploring wider, deeper versions of consciousness, there is a whole group, a whole field going back to going, oh no, we can identify exactly where it is in the head. And I didn't have time to put all the posts up, but there's a few who they're literally now saying they can identify where consciousness starts in the head. And I'm like going, oh my goodness, we've gone so far backwards. However, there's some other stuff. This is David Hawkins' work. I don't know if you've seen this one, Map of Consciousness. Very different way of, so, you know, Elizabeth, you talked about the 9 levels kind of thing. This is a different version of levels of, and I thought that was quite interesting. And, you know, survival, reason, integrity, spiritual, if you could kind of say, I don't know that it would ever work, but can you say, where do you spend most of your time? What level are you in? Are you down in, you know, the grief, apathy, guilt, shame? Well, a lot of clients are in that place. And that may well be why they're coming for coaching, of course. Reason and integrity is interesting to me, because as soon as I start thinking reasoning, I go head-based. Interesting. That's higher than. And spiritual, peace, joy, love, reason, that kind of resonated with me around the, you know, coherence, heart math, peace, joy, love, those high resonant frequencies. So I thought it was interesting. Pure consciousness at enlightenment, ineffable. Interesting.
It just looks like they've reordered our core competences. You know, you know, like what you said about peace, joy, and love. We know they're heart-based, coherent states. So they've come at it from a different place. So I guess I need to accept that it's an or.
Well, and also, you know, when we look at our core competencies, when we look at highest expressions, we talk about them being integrative and needing all of them in order to get to wisdom. This implies a hierarchy that you go through, and kind of then implies you leave the others behind. It's not integrative in the same way. So again, I thought it was an interesting model.
So it's interesting because Suzanne, just the previous slide, I found the color coding rather familiar, and I'm thinking, oh yes, it aligns with the 7 chakras.
It does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Including all those, or whatever falls under the list of ineffable.
Ineffable. Bliss, serenity, reverence.
Those are all higher order.
Words.
Yeah. Interesting.
Not words I use in my everyday language.
Yeah.
Bliss, maybe, but
yeah, okay, that's fine.
yeah. So I'm not suggesting I'm right down the bottom of unconscious incompetence in this, right? That was I'm just curious. I'm rampantly curious. And I don't claim to have the answers.
I wonder what energetic log means on that.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the frequency level?
So if you're enlightened, you've got a.
Because generally we talk about high frequencies are more towards that coherent state.
Fascinating.
A completely different level of consciousness chart, right? Totally different color coding. Love and fear is 2 kind of broad splits, but then dimensions up to the 12th dimension. Full consciousness being right at the top with an energetic frequency of 1,000. If I just go back to that previous one, is that the same? Yeah, so that's the same level, right? So it's energetic frequency. Yeah. Ineffable comes up again, but is spread far wider. And again, I go in coaching. What value is this? Are we consciously assessing the level of consciousness of our clients against this sort of chart? And why would we if we did? Like, is that part of the coach's role to increase consciousness? Is that what we've done informed consent for?
Well, I guess if the coach has decided that's what they're doing and they put it out there that I'm either a spiritual coach, a consciousness coach, an awareness coach, it depends how they put themselves out there, then you could be.
But if we have, you know, my sort of clients, they're right down the bottom, right? The shame, fear, guilt, all of that kind of stuff. It would be incredibly healthy for them, literally physically healthy and mentally healthy, to raise up in the language of this chart into different dimensions. But I'm not sure that it's a conscious language I use with clients. So it's, again, just interesting, right? These are the charts that if you go and look.
I'm curious as to how they can quantify death as a unconscious experience, because it depends on your belief structure. Right at the bottom, you've got death as out-of-body experience, hell. Depends on your belief structure, and how would you quantify it?
Also, the frequency of inner wisdom is quite low, 440. And I would see this as a circular thing, rather than a hierarchy. We move in and out of these different states, don't we?
Well, I certainly think if you look at things like grief, apathy, that's something you're likely to circle through depending on the context of what's going on in life at that moment, kind of thing. Maybe that's also true of some of those upper ones, though. Inner love, inner wisdom. There will be times in my life where I can look and go, yeah, I think I was more in that space of inner wisdom, whereas other times possibly not so. So then the question, I found this one, I thought, which level of consciousness are we at? That was, I kind of started cheekily on the, hierarchy of learning. But level 1, the world around you. Well, we talked about being present earlier and being intentional and coming into the present moment and using sight and using hearing. So that then sounds like that's quite in the middle. The awakening, the world you choose. So the world around you versus the world you choose. Interesting. The world inside you, and then the world you can change, becoming extraordinary. And in a way, this has given you the circle, the loops, but it's still a hierarchy.
Yeah.
So
it's like the to become a mystic, I think you'd have the higher order of consciousness.
So then the cynic in me goes, are they really in a higher order of consciousness? Or are they just not seeing stuff they're not seeing? Like, do you ever get to the point where you're fully conscious?
And if you could, would you be conscious of it without being conscious?
Or would you be moving within these concentric circles or these different states on different issues?
Yeah.
And if you were fully conscious, who is the you that's aware you're fully conscious? Which raised another whole thing about the observer effect. So we often talk about who's observing. But the observer effect's often misunderstood. Electrons don't know they're being watched. So how do we know what level of meta we're at any moment? We have to use light photons, which disturbs their wave-like nature and makes them behave like particles. It's not magic, just physics. It's almost like we're making a conscious choice to move to light and changing the wave to the particle Is that the moment we were talking about earlier that then becomes all or becomes consciousness? Can we consciously and deliberately change from wave to particles in order to change our perception of the world within and around us? I don't know the answer to these questions. It's what comes up for me as I read the memes.
Suzanne, there's a couple of comments in the chat from DMAT as well. You might want to be aware of.
Too many screens to watch. So Adriana, I think we've already lost her. Apologies, missed that. Bye, Adriana. Sorry. From my personal experience, I notice I move across the levels in different aspects of my life, from shame in a couple of areas, and yet I'm higher in others, and move from curiosity and compassion. Totally agree with you, Dima. I think the context and the time and how we are in ourselves absolutely changes those. Share this book that I feel has been titled Consciousness, and I started reading this week. Oh, thank you for a link. We'll just lift that and have a look at that. Thank you. I mean, there is a lot being written at the moment around consciousness, a lot. I'm aware of the time, 8 minutes, so I'll just share these other two memes with you. And this, I guess, is what I was getting at earlier, right? The total number of minds in the universe is 1. Ooh, so if the mind's in the body, how does that work?
The mind is not in the body, that's for sure.
In
That
fact,
is for
consciousness is a singularity phasing within all beings.
Yeah, the mind is energetic. So I'm inclined to, oh gosh, I'm inclined to agree with this phrase. Yeah, the mind is energetic. Therefore, we are one singular mass of energy, intertwined, interconnected, whether we like it or not.
Right. So if we then talk about alignment, surely we cannot be in alignment unless we're in alignment with each other. Are there degrees of alignment?
Or moments of alignment?
More moments.
Or aspects of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like we're almost making an excuse now for the fact we don't have total alignment. Is we'll modify the description so that we can say, well, we had it in that moment.
Here's where I would say that we still don't know everything about how we're interconnected energetically, but we know we are. And I think we're on this journey to knowing.
I think we're certainly pursuing the journey. We're on it, but we're in the early stages of it. When you look at the wars going on around, how does that statement fit with any of that?
But the effects are felt throughout humanity anyway, in different forms, but it's there. So that's where it makes me, I've reached a position where we're just interconnected, and there will be no peace until the collective consciousness is in sync, if I could put that.
And there will be some people who don't want collective consciousness because they want the power.
Correct.
And AI, going back to AI, what was it? I was reading about AI today. It struggles to say no, or it struggles to respond to being told no.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't like to say, I don't know.
No.
It'll just make shit up if it doesn't know.
Yep.
Oh gosh, that sounds like governments.
Right?
We're not going to go political at 2 minutes to go. Okay. And again, consciousness is able to connect to the whole universe. New research shows, I put this in because of the quantum link. New research shows quantum states in the brain may link consciousness to the entire universe. In a fascinating convergence of physics and neuroscience, recent research suggests that human consciousness may function as a quantum phenomenon, one that connects our minds with the broader universe. Building on the controversial OR, Orchestrated Objective Reduction Theory, if anyone's heard of that, I hadn't, scientists are now producing experimental evidence that supports the idea that microtubules, structures within brain cells, can maintain quantum coherence even in the brain's warm, wet environment. These quantum states could be the key to consciousness, existing as a wave capable of superposition and entanglement, potentially linking human awareness to quantum systems across space. This theory has gained new traction thanks to simulations and experiments showing quantum reactions can persist inside microtubules for significantly longer than expected. There's so much in there. We could have a whole call just on that one little meme, right? But across time and space, consciousness, just yesterday, there was this new planet they've discovered that's 4 times bigger than Earth that looks like it already has life on it because of the gases that they're seeing in it. So just as we're struggling to deal with this Earth and levels of consciousness across people, you kind of go, where do we fit with any wider consciousness that we're not even aware exists yet? So on that note, and I am aware that we said we'd be out on time, let's come up with a so what statement from that. Where does that leave you? What's in your thoughts? What's your biggest takeaway from today? Does it change the level that you thought you were at?
My biggest takeaway is that I am now conscious that I've got no idea what's going on. But I'm really curious about this. I'm going to find some more stuff to read and then probably confuse myself even harder.
This is what I'm on to at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Professor Doty. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, curious is my word. Curious. I have to expand my consciousness. I've become conscious of my consciousness. Oh, complex.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, that's a good word, Miriam. Complex is, yeah, mind-blowing. There's so much more. So, yeah, makes me curious. Yeah.
Complex and systemic.
And
yes,
at the same time, simple.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's true.
I get it. We can make it as complex as we want it to be, or we could make it as simple as we want it to be. That's my
just our
takeaway.
head making it complex because we're trying to understand it.
Yeah.
So therefore, do we not need to worry about any of this stuff because we don't need to understand it? And therefore, we don't need to consciously bring it in with any of our clients because all we would be doing is making their life more complicated.
But however, it does open us to be conscious about not making things complex for them.
Very good.
I like that. I think that's a good place to end, and it's dead on 9 o'clock. Thank you. Let's not overcomplicate things. So let me just stop the recording a moment.